Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And if you don't mind, I would just like to touch upon yet another horror sci-fi film that made a huge impact on me as a kid growing up. And if you don't mind also, I would very much like also to dedicate this video and my following comments to our dear friend Alan. Alan, I don't know if you're here. I hope you're watching, and if you are, I hope you are very well, my friend. And this is for you because I know how much you love this film from 1979. This is, of course, Ridley Scott's directed film called Alien. Now, this is the Alien Anthology Blu-ray set that came out a few years ago now, and it came with all the features and everything up to, it was Alien, Aliens, and Alien 3, and Alien Resurrection. So, but it included Alien, and so I took the opportunity to get the set and this film. Now, I know that my dear friend Alan, our dear friend Alan, loves this film very much. I think he cited it as being one of, if not his favorite film. And I can see why, because it is still an unparalleled type of iconic classic that has so much in terms of the built-in atmosphere and the palpable roughness and toughness, if you will, of space and space travel. And not only that, it has all the great trappings and fallibility and real earthiness and ruggedness that comes with a lived-in feel. This world that is painted in this film has a real lived-in quality. And not only that, it is occupied by people that have real concerns and real commitments and a lot of heart and a lot of drive and a lot of spirit, which is also drawn across class lines as well as across human or emotional lines, which is, I think, what makes this film even more fascinating. And surprisingly, I think, or maybe not so surprisingly, it really adds to the sense of timelessness. Because as we can see, the issues of evils, and these evils can be stemmed from anything from an outside terror, an alien force, or maybe something that is closer to home, a more corporate-based one. Whatever the case may be, I think it is all wrapped in this film in a quite alluring and mesmerizing concoction of a film that still terrifies to this very day. Not to mention the fact that we have such iconic designs. Of course, the very famous H.R. Giger design that is still relevant to this very day. It is so incredible and terrific just to consider the true depth of the influence of the Giger design. It boggles the mind, and it just goes to show just how forceful and powerful these sorts of images of horror iconography can really become. And they all come from these really wonderfully rendered ideas that come from the depths of the human soul and the human imagination. And this is, of course, one of those iconic designs. And the story is very quick and, I think, easy to follow. There is enough atmosphere and time spent on the tension. And then once things start going, they really start going. And they lead to other ideas and other corners of the mind that linger and go on and on until your imagination can't even take it because it's so terrifying. This is the film Alien to me. Now, for me personally, the film Alien is something of an interesting one because I first encountered this. I was actually born in 1979, so it was the same year as this film was released. So I, unfortunately, could never see this in the theater upon initial release. I had come to this on VHS cassette. And so therefore I came to this very early, and I can't remember, like with many of these other films, I can't remember a time where I didn't know this film. I would watch it as a little boy and be terrified. I remember also being quite stunned and very confused with certain of the plot turns that occurred with respect to some of the characters. And I remember just being so, I just couldn't take some of the scenes involving the alien violence. But more than that, I think for me, was the scenes of tension, the build-up, the inexorable suspense that was generated by people slowly walking through these empty corridors, not quite knowing what was behind. And the sound was just oppressive, with this low rattling hum that would just permeate the entire thing, and you didn't know what was going on. And this kind of tension was unbearable for me as a little kid. And so I have those memories, and they linger. And whenever I see this film now, I know what's coming. I know what's going to happen next because I've seen it so many times. But there's just something about those memories and watching it as a little kid and remembering how I felt as a little kid, just feeling that little extra sense of edge even now when I watch it, such that I still get a little bit of a jump when those scares come. And I say, I know when they arrive. I know the exact moment when they will come. But still, there's something about that feeling I had as a little kid seeing this. And that hasn't changed, or I haven't been able to shake that. And I feel like this really was such a game changer, because it felt fresh and new, and yet it was also relying on the very, I think, archetypical story, if you will, of the haunted house. It was also relying on the archetypical story of the intruder, or the outside menace trying to invade all. And it was also dealing with the notion of infection and the grossness and the invasive nature of an infection from within, and being helpless, really, of trying to combat it. But it also, as I was indicating earlier, introduced something quite, now that I think about it, perhaps quite revolutionary in terms of this horror genre archetype, which is the idea of the threat of corporate power, and also the sort of the anarchy that can result from the quest for more power of this sort, and the things that people will go to in order to achieve certain goals. And it really begs the question, who is really the main driving force of antagonism in this film? Is it really the alien question, or is it something else entirely? And I think this film and the films that follow, Aliens and Alien 3 in particular, I think really give this sense of the unknowingness of who exactly the main antagonist is. I think it really gives this sense of ambiguity, even more bite and more venom and potency going forward. Not to say that it's not here. It is here, most definitely. But I just like that line of continuity, that thread, that continuum that goes forward with these films. And it all started here. All the seeds are here. And then they themselves, within the film's framework, just explode and go here and there. And the tension and the edge and the drive are just absolutely palpable and in your face, and still so elegant and beautiful and sleek, and also quite psychologically, inherently both spooky and alluring. There's something very attractive and also quite frightening. There is a sexual connotation that's at work here, but also sex as an alluring thing can also be a frightening thing. And all of this is intertwined both in the forefront and in the backdrop of this film, Alien. And so much more. As I say, I can't remember a time not knowing this film. I wish I did, because I wish I could remember that first time watching this film and seeing the shocks that it had in store for everyone in the theater. I wish I could have known that. But for what it's worth, it's something that is embedded in my own film grammar. This is, I think, one of those films that I rely upon, either directly or indirectly, or even in terms of a feeling or moment or mode. I rely upon this film, among others, of course, but this in particular. I rely upon this as the basis of my own film grammar, as it were. That set of films that I grew up with, that from then on I used as a kind of indicator of what cinema was, or the types of films that I was watching, because of films like this. It was a scary film, a brilliant film, a beautifully designed work, and it was also an archetypical type of driving force in cinema that has its power felt even now, to this very day. This is the film Alien. And for my dear friend Alan, I hope that you are well, and I know that you really love this film, and I cannot wait to hear what it is you have to say about this marvelous choice of yours. This is the film Alien. Okay, my friends, so that's it for now. Who knows, maybe one day I'd like to have the opportunity to speak about this film in more detail, because there's a lot that I'd like to say. I don't want to say too much now, just in case. I just want to keep my comments as sort of general enough, just to give a sense of my approach to this film. But maybe one of these days, with Alan's permission in particular, maybe I can try to approach this in a more detailed fashion. But until then, my friends, I'd love to hear what it is you have to say. Please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. And until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great, great movies. So until we meet again, my friends, thank you and cheers.